Good evening, I'm Camelia, and this is KiniNews. Nurul Izzah Anwar has acknowledged criticism against PKR on their struggle to implement promised reforms. However, she assured that Reformasi is still alive. PKR's push for reforms has been facing criticism, with some saying the iconic Reformasi battle cry has now become reformati, representing a movement that is lifeless. However, Nurul Izzah has stressed that the reform agenda is still alive. Hailed as Puteri Reformasi during the height of the movement, the PKR vice president said that meaningful change has no shortcuts. According to Berita Harian, Nurul Izzah acknowledged that the struggle to implement the promised reforms has drawn criticism and ridicule from some quarters. She told the hosts of its Borak Hari Ini podcast that the agenda had faced criticism, and it is something important for us to question. Conceding that reforms take time to be realized, Nurul Izzah said it is pivotal for the team to continue working so that the struggle does not become obsolete. She said they are all part of the team as well and must think critically about ways to improve. Nurul Izzah added that each generation will have its own struggles and they can't just say Reformasi is dead. She said it must be revived through their actions and decisions made. She also noted that the process could take time and urged all quarters, especially PKR members, to have the courage to ensure that the objectives are pursued in line with the principles set earlier. Nurul Izzah's father, Prime Minister Anwar Ibrahim, once the torchbearer of the reform movement, has come under increasing scrutiny for what critics describe as a lack of urgency in delivering the sweeping changes he once championed. Should voters postpone Umrah and Hajj to vote? Puad Zarkashi has hit back at Abdul Hadi Awang over his remarks and shared his opinion with Muslim voters in Ayer Kuning ahead of this Saturday's by-election. Amnos Supreme Council member Puad Zarkashi has told Muslim voters in Ayer Kuning that delaying victory for PAS does not mean delaying the victory of Islam. With this, he said voters should not feel compelled to postpone their pilgrimage for Hajj or Umrah to vote. In a post on Facebook, he said there is no certainty that if PAS wins, Islam will prevail. He said this is especially if PAS wins the Ayer Kuning by-election, as winning just one seat won't change the unity government in Perak. Puad argued that it would be better to delay PAS's victory, as this would also help put an end to religiously divisive politics and the reckless use of Quranic verses and hadith. He said this also includes confusing political fatwas. Puad also claimed that PAS had failed to demonstrate any significant achievements, even while in power, such as in states like Clantan and Terengganu. He questioned what PAS has actually accomplished and stressed that voters should delay PAS's victory, not Hajj or Umrah. He said this in response to PAS President Abdul Hadi Awang, who has stated that many Malaysian Muslims prioritize fulfilling the Hajj and Umrah over participating in political processes that could influence national governance. His remarks drew criticism from various quarters and are being reviewed by the Islamic Development Department. Amnos Clantan Division Chief has criticized a PAS leader over his comments on the police and challenged him to repeat them outside the State Assembly. Malur Assemblyperson Wan Rohimi Wan Daud has been challenged to repeat his remarks against the police outside the State Assembly, where legislative immunity does not apply. In a statement today, Clantan UMNO Chief Ahmad Jazlan Yaakob criticized Wan Rohimi and called him a coward. This was for insinuating that Deputy Inspector General of Police Ayub Khan Maidin Piche and Clantan Police Chief Yusof Mamat were attempting to cast the states in a negative light. He said Wan Rohimi has acted recklessly and carelessly by accusing them of deliberately making negative remarks about Clantan for the purpose of the upcoming by-election in Ayer Kuning on April 26. Jazlan stressed that the Clantan Police Chief, the DIGP and the entire police force are civil servants, bound by regulations and tasked with ensuring national security. Therefore, he said it is inappropriate to question the statements made by the police in relation to their duties in raising awareness and combating crime within society. Jazlan dared Wan Rohimi to repeat his allegation outside the Clantan Assembly to demonstrate responsibility for such malicious remarks that have tarnished the image of civil servants and the unity government. He said this in response to Wan Rohimi's remarks during the State Assembly sitting on March 22nd, when he said that the Clantan Police Chief stated that a cosmetic entrepreneur influencer was leading a drug syndicate in the state without providing proper data. Wan Rohimi added that the DIGP repeated the same data days later and questioned why they are so persistent, taking a small snippet to create a misleading picture. If you like the story we produce, consider supporting us by scanning the QR code on the screen and subscribe to Malaysia Kini. Are U.S. tariffs against China too high? U.S. President Donald Trump believes they are. He also said that the tariffs will come down substantially. U.S. President Donald Trump has acknowledged that the current 145% tariffs imposed on Chinese goods are steep, but indicated they could be lowered significantly in the future. According to reports, Trump said that yes, 145% is very high, but it won't be anywhere near that high. CNN quoted Trump as saying that it will come down substantially, but it won't be zero. He reportedly told the media at the Oval Office tariffs used to be zero, but because of that the United States was just destroyed. He said China was taking them for a ride and it's just not going to happen. We're going to be very nice, they're going to be very nice. Trump had previously signed an executive order introducing reciprocal tariffs on imports from other countries, including China. According to Bernama, the duty for Chinese exporters to the U.S. has now reached 145%, and the rate for U.S. suppliers to China is 125%. The Education Ministry's policy requiring students at all institutions under its purview to wear a Jalo Gamilang badge on their uniforms has come into effect. However, the National Parent-Teacher Association has suggested some changes to its implementation for the next year's school session. The National Parent-Teacher Association has urged the government to introduce school uniforms that have the Jalo Gamilang already imprinted on them. This came following the Education Ministry's policy requiring students at all institutions under its purview to wear a Jalo Gamilang badge on their uniform. National Parent-Teacher Association President Ali Hassan said he supports the policy as it can boost students' awareness about national identity as well as inculcate the spirit of patriotism among them. However, he thinks the policy has to be implemented in two ways. Ali told Malaysia Kini the first is to introduce school uniforms that are readily imprinted with Jalo Gamilang for the use of preschoolers and primary school students. He added that this must not incur any additional costs for students. He said the second method is by using a badge, which is for secondary school students and school staff members. Ali added that the association hopes its suggestion can be implemented in next year's school session. He said this in response to complaints from parents who are concerned about the safety of students for having to wear badges, especially for young children or during sports activities. Before we move on, yesterday we asked Kinitv viewers to share their thoughts on the proposal to extend the use of Jalo Gamilang badges on student uniforms of younger age groups, including from kindergarten. Let's take a look at the results. The proposal had come from the Unity Ministry, with its Minister Aaron Agudagang saying that the badge initiative is a positive step toward fostering patriotism from an early stage in children's development. He said the policy is already in place for school children and there should be no issue in extending it to kindergarten students as it will help instill love for the country from a young age. Some viewers who voted said it is better to start early to instill patriotism, with one bringing up the incident of the missing crescent moon in a newspaper, saying that hopefully they will remember that the flag included it. Another viewer also brought up the incident but questioned what was the point when even adults can forget that the Malaysian flag has a crescent moon. It was also pointed out that young children don't have the proper understanding of the purpose and could end up leaving the flag anywhere. The role of parents and teachers in educating children about patriotism instead of just pinning a badge was also brought up. Questions were also raised about which company was producing the badges and how much was spent on it. What are your thoughts on the matter? Share them in the comment section below. A ridiculous punishment. This was the response from Zaid Ibrahim on news of the sentence against a mother who stole groceries and essentials. Here's more on that. Former Law Minister Zaid Ibrahim has slammed the 3-month jail sentence imposed on a mother who stole groceries for her children. Zaid questioned how the country trains its magistrates, saying that such ridiculous punishments happen all the time. He called for a revamp on how sentencing principles are applied to match the harsh reality of ordinary poor lives. Zaid added that the government can help the hardcore poor by creating a Madani fund or 100 million ringgit a year. He said this will enable them to give out 1,000 ringgit a month to around 100,000 hardcore poor and called on Women, Family and Community Development Minister Nancy Shukri to push for the idea. Yesterday, it was reported that the Kuala Lumpur Magistrates Court sentenced Lini Ahmad, 38, to 3 months in jail. This was after she pleaded guilty to stealing from a supermarket last Saturday. She was charged with stealing 30 types of items, which included personal care products, bread, eggs, biscuits, soy milk, tissues, and toothpaste, worth 374 ringgit from a supermarket in Brickfields last April 19th. During the proceedings, her lawyer Kuratu Aini Zafira Mat Shoaib said that Lini, who has a 6-month-old child and is supporting a 76-year-old ailing father, committed the offense due to financial pressure. The lawyer added that her client is unemployed, while her husband has just found a job after the family moved from Sarawak to Kuala Lumpur. She added that her client is in desperate situation and has no money to buy necessities. That is all from me today. For more stories, you can go to kinitv.com. You can also follow us on Instagram, X, YouTube, and Facebook for the latest news updates. I'm Camelia. Thanks for watching.